And we were like, these are the ones that we want. And she was like, I really don't think this is the Easter egg you want. She's like, it is the Easter egg we want. And I don't know when we learned, at what stage we learned, but it was a Playboy bunny Easter egg.
Oh, okay.
I mean, why are you in the chocolate egg market? Coming up on Need to Know, the viral lamb cake, the top 10 Easter candies, and everything you want to know about chocolate eggs for the holiday. That and everything else you need to know. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Need to Know. I'm Gemma Stafford, professional chef, cookbook author, and the creator of Bigger Bolder Baking. And as always, I'm joined by my lovely partner in crime. You see that coming? Yeah. Ami Shukla, who is the head of culinary here at Bigger Bolder Baking.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
That means that usually when I'm up to mischief, you're there too.
I should hope right? So.
I'm excited because it is Easter time. And like I said previously, we celebrate Easter. George loves Easter. I'm a big fan of Easter, just with all the tradition and everything, all the food. And this is something that I never heard of before until recently. And it definitely seems like something that would have been big in Europe. Have you heard of lamb cakes?
Not until you mentioned it to me just recently.
Like just now, like 2 seconds ago.
No, like, oh, we're not allowed to say that we knew about this earlier? Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm only joking. So lamb cakes are an Easter tradition. I don't know how I never have seen one before. For those of you who don't know, they're actually quite popular today. It's a very old tradition of baking a cake in a lamb-shaped mold, which you're kind of wondering what that is, but we'll flash that. You guys can see that. And then decorated.
Yeah,
and it looks like a lamb.
So this is an old tradition, but I never saw this before until you brought this to my attention just before we started.
Yeah, it's a culinary trend now. And there's a few reasons why. It's something old that was now new. They're eclectic. Is eclectic the right word?
I mean, like if you look at them, they're just...
I think
it's like some of the...
Take a look at some of these.
Well, it's just like some of the crazy eyes. Just like, I mean, like they're very blue.
So we have a collage. So for those of you, definitely check out the show notes. If you're watching online, this is definitely something you want. If you're listening just to this episode, it's definitely something you're going to want to look at after. But there's some gnarly looking lambs in here. If I was to do this as a child making a lamb cake, my decoration would definitely have looked like these.
I mean, I have to say, it kind of makes me want to make one.
It looks like their face is melting. Or something. I think it's just, they're so funny. But then you can find really good ones where like today they're like, they've gotten a bit craftier about the decorating. They're doing like icing smiles and swirls for the wool, which makes it look really good. But I sourced this picture that I shared on Facebook. I just think it's brilliant.
Now, but you don't know much about these cakes other than the look. Like, is there a traditional filling, or is it just like a regular like vanilla frosting?
It's a vanilla. From what I've learned, it's a vanilla. It's a plain cake with a plain, buttercream frosting. Like nothing special. The symbol is, it's springtime. It's for Easter. Easter. In Ireland, you would eat lamb. Spring lamb. Mm-hmm. Symbolizes purity and renewal, all things like, things that we think about in spring. I just can't believe I've never seen one of these before. I will admit, and I'm so bummed about this. During every episode, we try to like eat something or make something. Usually we're always eating something. I ordered the mold online. Nordic Ware seems to be like one of the big companies that makes this mold. I really wanted to make it just because I wanted to see my decoration compared to the others. Not saying that mine would be great, but how close mine would probably be to theirs. But my mold didn't arrive in time.
Well, I would just say, like, when you eat this, like, what do you eat the head first?
Oh, no, I don't think it's about eating. I think it's about just looking and enjoying what you're seeing.
They're pretty excellent.
Cake. But isn't that a fun one?
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely, I feel like I could see these in bakeries in LA for like $60.
Yeah. I mean, we might have to make one for BBB.
I love it. I thought that was brilliant. It definitely gave me, like, look at these guys. It definitely gave me a good laugh.
Okay, well, so what about some
One
other?
of them was on fire. One of them was actually on fire. Oh my gosh.
Gives a whole new meaning to slaughtering a lamb.
Oh my gosh, the poor thing. This guy has a little crown on his head. Oh, that one looks like a puppy. Anyway, lamb cakes.
Okay, well, what about other Easter treats? We've got like candy. When I think about Easter, like I definitely don't think about lamb cake, but I do think about Easter baskets, like full of Easter candy. So Peeps, Peeps, Easter Peeps. Not a fan particularly. I don't know. Are you a fan of Peeps?
I love marshmallows. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever had a Peep.
Well, now it seems like you would have the opportunity to not only have a traditional marshmallowy Peep, but there's new flavors being released this year. Chocolate pudding flavor, cinnamon churro.
Yum. I would definitely
You'd have a cinnamon
for one
churro,
of those.
cookies and cream.
Yep.
Or tropical punch.
You had me until that very last one. Interesting. Okay. I mean, I'm not like completely shocked by those flavors. Like they are luminous colored marshmallows.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
I mean, nothing really surprises me. But what do you think?
I'm not real. Well, in general, even when they're homemade and delicious, I'm not a huge fan of marshmallows.
I love marshmallows.
I mean, I just find them to be like a little one note. Like they're just a little sweet and a little, I like squishy things like mochi. I'm not I'm just not a big marshmallow person. Never really have been. So I would
I've
say
never had. But I don't marshmallows. I love a homemade marshmallow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be down on Peeps. George, I think. I don't know how he knows about. He knows because he actually drew a picture the other day of Peeps. We were drawing Easter baskets. But he's never had one. I don't know how he knows about it.
I mean, they are fun to look at.
They're really fun.
They're cute. They're cute. But
the Flower Bakery, Joanne Chan, who we talked about before, they make their own homemade Peeps this time of year.
Oh, well, see, I mean, maybe that would be good, but I still feel like if I have the opportunity to go to Flower Bakery, I'm not going to be ordering the Peeps.
No.
But okay, so there's other Easter candies, like when you think of Easter baskets, there's other popular ones, jelly beans. Of course, they're like little eggs.
George drew jelly beans in his basket too.
Yeah, you didn't have jelly beans growing up?
We didn't have Easter baskets.
Oh, what?
No, we didn't have Easter hunts. Egg hunts, and we didn't have Easter baskets. In Ireland, the tradition is not eggs. It's there's no plastic eggs. There's no stuff inside of eggs, and there's no Easter egg hunts. When I was growing up, there probably is now today, but when I was growing up in the 80s and still into the 90s and 2000s, your Easter egg was a box, and in the box you had a chocolate egg, a big egg, hollow shell, and then you got like 2 candy bars. So like everybody did an Easter egg, Kit Kat, Twix, Mars bar, everybody had their own Easter egg, and it was the boxes. So you got for Easter when you were like 9 years old, you were counting how many boxes you had. You could have like 9 boxes. And that's what we did, was the big boxes. So if you ever go into a British store or an Irish store around this time of year, that's what you'll see. They'll be selling Easter eggs for like a crazy price.
Yeah. Well, did you have chocolate bunnies?
No.
Oh, so Easter eggs. It was just chocolate Easter eggs. So no jelly beans, no Skittles, no.
I will tell you. I'm going to keep this really short. When we were young, so we used to, myself, my sister, we went in to pick your Easter eggs because I don't even know if there was an Easter bunny. Maybe there was an Easter bunny. I don't know. But
what did you do there when you grew up?
We collected boxes, big boxes, and we counted how many had. And
did
then
you
we
even have a childhood?
Compared them to other people's boxes. But I remember one time, so like I said, every brand does an Easter egg. And I mean every brand. So when we were young, my sister, we must have been, I'd say 8 or something like that. Myself, my sister went into like Tesco, and we found the Easter eggs that we wanted that your mom would get for you. We said, we want these ones. And she said, I don't think so. And we was like, no, these are the ones that we want. It came with a mug and a chocolate egg. The box was black and it had red and had a bunny on it. And we were like, these are the ones that we want. And she was like, I really don't think this is the Easter egg you want. It's like, it is the Easter egg we want. And I don't know when we learned, at what stage we learned, but it was a Playboy bunny Easter egg.
Oh, okay.
I mean, why are you in the chocolate egg market? Why? And I mean, she said, to be fair to her, she said no.
Yes.
And we got our way.
Right. Well, you can enjoy an Easter egg at any age you are.
That's true.
I mean, why not? Why just for children?
You can go back to your story now. Kevin might edit my one out.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess I always just think Easter baskets seem to be full of there's always a chocolate bunny.
Okay.
And then there's just all sorts of candies, like jelly beans for sure, always. Jelly beans. Then, people like to do sweet tarts, dum-dums.
What are sweet tarts?
Sweet tarts are they're like a hard candy that when you bite down onto it, it sort of powders. It's like, no. It's like a hard through and through.
Oh, okay.
It disintegrates into your mouth into a sweet and tart sensation. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like, I'm trying to think of a UK equivalent. I'm sure you have something like it, but I can't think of a good description. But it's a hard
candy.
Yeah, it's like it's almost it's a hard candy that turns powdery as you bite it. But actually, I'm not a huge fan of this kind of candy, but I think sweet tarts are delicious.
We only had chocolate, you see. We never was candy.
Yeah.
What else is on the list?
Well, I mean,
dum-dums. What are dum-dums?
Dum-dums are lollipops. Like just very simple, not filled with anything.
Oh,
just
I
a
know
really
that.
simple
I think,
lollipop.
I've seen those. So that's a great segue into our next section in the mix, where we're going to talk about Easter chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
So now, here's a fun fact based on DoorDash sales. I don't know if you get your chocolate delivered to your door by DoorDash.
Only when I'm desperate.
Well, apparently a lot of people do at Easter time. And they're saying that the top chocolates ordered around this time of year, number one, this might not be a surprise. Actually, it is a surprise to me. Get this, Ami. Reese's peanut butter cups. Number one. Number two, Cadbury's Creme Eggs.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And then we have Hershey's Kisses. There is Lindt chocolate bunnies, which was one of my favorites. I love Lindt chocolate. Dove, milk chocolate, Easter eggs, Ferrero Rochers. And they have a chocolate bunny.
Oh, Rocher makes a
Rocher has a chocolate bunny. Isn't that nice?
Oh, nice.
That's fascinating. The Reese's eggs over the Cadbury's.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by that. As a kid, I was obsessed with Cadbury Creme Eggs. Like that was just like you could only find them once a year. They were so good. Like what was in them? It was just like, I don't know. It's definitely like my favorite thing.
We didn't have Reese's peanut butter in Ireland, so they were huge. But then also, little side note, in the 80s, Cadbury's came out also with a caramel egg.
Oh.
And I never liked, my preference wasn't the cream egg. It was, and then when they came out the caramel egg, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Chocolate shell with a lot of caramel in the middle.
I feel like I remember that. But they also used to have these
see them here that often.
The caramel eggs, but Cadbury also used to have these like mini like solid chocolate eggs that were like colorful.
Yeah, they still have those.
Yeah.
Those are Cadbury's mini eggs.
Yes.
Those are what we had. So you get them in tubes.
Yeah.
And those are what we had growing up.
Yeah, those are really good too.
It's funny, you don't see it as much here, but in Europe, in England, they would sell them in tubes. So you would have Smarties, and this is during the holidays, Christmas and Easter. The mini eggs, which are I have to say I love mini eggs, and then you would have Smarties, you would have pastels, like these kinds of like gummies, all sorts of stuff in a tube.
So Gemma, I know you've been talking a lot about how chocolate has been such a big part of traditions in Easter during Easter in Ireland. So I just wanted to share a little bit about some of the stuff that I read about chocolate becoming popular in Europe in the 19th century. So there were some key innovations that created that. So in 1828, the Dutch inventor Van Houten developed a press to separate cocoa butter from cocoa beans. And then in 1866, the Cadbury brothers introduced pure cocoa, making large quantities of cocoa butter available. And it was these advancements that allowed for the production of smooth molded chocolate so that we can get our Easter eggs and our Easter bunnies and all of that. Cadbury, as we know, is a huge brand. So early Cadbury Easter eggs were made of dark chocolate and with a plain, smooth surface, and they were filled with dragées, those like little candy dragées.
The little balls?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the first decorated eggs featured chocolate piping and marzipan flowers. Must have been really pretty.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. And then, so by the end of the 1800s, Cadbury's Easter list included 19 different types of eggs. And Richard Cadbury's artistic influence helped shape Easter egg designs.
Lovely. You know what? You do see some really beautiful designs from old chocolatiers. I mean from like chocolatiers when they go back to like the old school ways, like Jacques Torres, who we all know is a famous chocolatier here in the United States in New York, who's a Frenchman who was on Nailed It, which I was on. And during Easter, he goes, it's like his busiest season. They go all in and make these like incredible, beautiful eggs. If you follow him on Instagram, actually, right now you can see like all behind the scenes of like all those things. The bunnies. I even looked at this morning, like the bunnies that they create. Also Dominique Ansel, who we know and we featured here before, the creator of the cronut, does an insane job. We actually we talked to him about like maybe featuring him in this episode. They are so busy during this season that he has no time. But they do these like really incredible little not chocolate eggs, but chocolate characters. I was there this time last year and actually saw them in person. They ship across the country, which I don't know how they do because they are so delicate. They do a Hootie the Blowfish, which is white chocolate. They do a Roxy the Red Panda, which is milk chocolate, and Oz the Koala, which is dark chocolate. And these characters are the detail on them. If you follow Dominique on Instagram, you'll see behind the scenes of him making all of these every year. And they also have an avocado, which is a chocolate Easter egg. It's really incredible. It's such an art. I don't know how he does it.
Really, really so beautiful, so detailed. It is not easy to work with chocolate. Believe me.
No.
I know. These fancy gourmet chocolate eggs are so beautiful and such an incredible treat. But it always makes me wonder, like, like we should talk a little bit share our stories about, how do you make chocolate eggs at home? Say you want to make your own special treats.
Yeah. You know what I've done in the past, this is years and years ago on YouTube, I did this. We did homemade chocolate eggs and it looks like a Cadbury's egg, but it had a cream cheese filling and it had for the yolk, it was a little bit of mango puree. They were so delicious. They were beautiful. They were only plain on the... Oh, no, it's not true. I did one that was white chocolate and had ground up dehydrated raspberries in it.
Wow. Did you use a mold?
Mold. I use a mold.
Uh-huh.
That I got on Amazon.
How do you stick the shells together?
Chocolate.
Oh, so you just kind of put a little melted chocolate on the edge?
Yeah. They were so pretty. They, they have to be kind of eaten within a certain amount of time because you have a wet filling on top of chocolate. They're fresh. And you keep them in the fridge, but they were so pretty. I will tell you that when it comes to tempering chocolate, I do not have the patience for it. I'm more kind of like, let's just see what happens kind of a person. So, on biggerbolderbaking.com, as you know, Ami and I do this where we will like temper chocolate in the microwave. I watched a video today on Instagram, somebody like, the classic way of tempering chocolate, but my way is doing the microwave way, which is also Ina Garten's way. So I feel like I'm in good company of just, it's melting in chocolate, melt a little bit and then seed it with some cold chocolate and mix it around. You don't always need a thermometer. I've never had like bad results of doing my chocolate this way. Tempering chocolate gives you a kind of a shiny coat, an extra snap. However, if you just melt chocolate, and just use it as is, you might not get that bloom on the outside. You don't always, and you still get like a lovely looking shell, get a nice mold. They're cheap to come by on Amazon.
Sure. And you can also, if you're doing these kinds of molds and, you're nervous about melting chocolate, you can use colorful candy melts. I mean, they're not pure chocolate, but they will come in pretty pastel colors. And you can also use melting wafers. Again, not pure chocolate, but if you are concerned, that is definitely a way that you can go that makes it a little bit more accessible and easy.
And you had a good point to me, which was, I think it's something you're going to share now on because I can see them in the corner of my eye, but actually not doing a hollow shell, but shaping something into chocolate, like a truffle or something.
Yes,
into an egg. I'm sorry, shaping into an egg.
Yes, absolutely. So like if I was to make chocolate eggs, I would just take one of the bigger, bolder baking truffle recipes. We have caramel truffles, we have ruby chocolate truffles,
champagne
we have
truffles.
champagne
Remember
truffles.
those ones? They were yummy.
And instead of shaping, you have to work with them cold. So you might have to pop the ganache in the freezer for a little bit so that they're definitely moldable, or at least scoop them out into balls at first, put them in the freezer, get them nice and firm, and then you can shape them into an egg shape. After that, you just dip them in some chocolate, white chocolate, dark chocolate, anything you want, and then you have your eggs. I would definitely do that.
Or you could do what Ami did yesterday in a pinch because I didn't have a lamb cake.
Okay.
Which is enter what stage left.
Okay.
Here we go.
So here's my attempt at the Cadbury Creme Egg. Now, first of all, when we were doing this episode, I could not believe that Cadbury Creme Eggs were not the #1 Easter chocolate. I love these. And part of it was this fascination. Like, what is this creamy, white, liquidy filling? What is
Sugar.
it? It is. It
Sugar.
is literally sugar. So anyway, I did a quick search online, and I found this website called Spend with Pennies.
Oh, yeah, we love her.
We love her. She's great. All her recipes are so
Yeah.
wonderful. And she has this recipe for homemade Cadbury Creme Eggs. So I just assumed they would be excellent because her recipes are excellent. They were a little challenging to work with. So you make a filling, you freeze it.
Can I try one?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
egg shaped.
It's egg shaped.
I mean, you're already winning with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what you think.
Oh, you
Oh,
got, oh.
it's got a liquid.
No, Ami.
Is it a Cadbury Creme Egg?
I have a Cadbury Creme Egg.
Yes. It was definitely like
legit.
yeah. Look, let me see. I'm going to see if I can open one up.
I want to see. No,
Look,
I want.
look.
Look at this.
You see? Look, there's a yellow yolk.
I want to see. I want everybody to see this. That is absolutely a Cadbury Creme Egg.
That was it.
And the secret ingredient, sugar.
It is mostly corn syrup and powdered sugar.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well done. How lovely.
Okay, so now here we are onto our bold baking hotline. And I have a couple of questions for you, Gemma.
Lovely.
From Fatima on Instagram, she asked, I have dairy milk bars to make eggs and they didn't melt. Do you know why?
I do know why. And I'll tell you why they didn't, and then I tell you why you shouldn't. Is that the double answer? So for those of you who don't know, do you know what a dairy milk bar is?
Is that just a solid milk chocolate bar?
Yeah, it is, but it's a candy bar. It's not just a bar of milk chocolate. It's a candy bar. So when you think of like a Hershey's bar, it's just what you get at the candy store, a bar of chocolate that you just eat. So it has sugar. It will have other ingredients there to make it like more appealing to like somebody who likes lighter chocolate, and then make it sweeter and have other additives and stuff like that in there. Those, because of all the extra things added to them, they do not melt well. They are not, a candy bar is not supposed to be melted. Like if you go to get if you go to the shop to make a chocolate cake or whatever, and you need melted chocolate, you don't buy a few bars of Hershey's and melt all of those down. Like it's not going to melt well. It's not pure chocolate. And I will tell you, doing that also, the grade, it's not going to work, number one. Number two is that the grade of chocolate used is pretty low. So if you wanted milk chocolate, feel free to go buy a bar of milk chocolate. My recommendation would be Lindt, which I find in Ireland. I find it here. I find it anywhere I go in the world. Lindt chocolate works really well. Get a bar of their milk chocolate. Don't try and melt down a candy bar. It does not work. It is very frustrating. It literally doesn't melt. So that's why. And I know this. I'll tell you why I know it. I did it as a child because I didn't know. I was like 7 years of age and I would melt a candy bar and it wouldn't melt and it would end up lumpy and it was just an awful, it was just so frustrating, and now I know why. So I just say it's not supposed to be melted and used like that. It's only supposed to be eaten as a candy bar.
Yeah, I think usually if you want to find a bar for melting, you look in the baking aisle.
Yeah, look, exact. There you go. Don't look in the candy aisle, look in the bake. I could have literally have answered that whole question, what you just said.
Well, Okay, I have one more question. This is from Mary B on Facebook. Often when I work with chocolate, it separates and gets very oily. How can I avoid this?
We're no stranger to this. We buy a certain type of chocolate here that we use for baking. We do we pretty much do mass production when it comes to our baking. So I buy big bars of chocolate, some brands that normally this will only happen with a high cocoa solid percentage. I don't mean super high, I mean around the 72% bittersweet. It can happen. It's probably not going to happen for a milk chocolate. It will more than likely happen for a bittersweet chocolate. It happens with overheating the chocolate, and it happens from over mixing. There's a few, and there's probably maybe one or two more of those things in there, but that's the most common that you'll do at home. And it separates. The fat separates from the cocoa, and you end up with an oily mess. So we always say in all of our chocolate recipes, because Ami writes the recipes, is heat gently in the microwave. I'm no problem at all using the microwave to melt chocolate. I'm all about it gently. Short periods of time in the microwave. Don't let it get too hot. Then when you're mixing, don't go in there with your whisk and beat it afterwards. Carefully mix it, because when you more and more you mix it, the more you see it separate. Also, sometimes, say if you had a recipe and it was ganache. So when you add the extra fat into the chocolate when you're making a ganache, the introduction of that fat can make it separate. So I would be careful. I would say full disclosure, sometimes we use the Trader Joe's chocolate for our baking. Their bittersweet chocolate bar has a tendency to separate. No, it does. And it could be very annoying because it's not cheap and it's just frustrating. But let me tell you, we're going to wrap this all in a lovely bow, and I'm going to tell you how you can actually solve that problem. I did a TikTok video of this. Chocolate separates and you see the oil and the solids completely going different directions. An immersion blender. So like what I use for, like a hand blender, immersion blender. Put that in there, blend it up, and it will come back together perfect.
Is this speaking of just ganache or even just melted chocolate?
Melted chocolate or ganache. Anytime you see a chocolate mix like that separate, like you said, ganache or melted chocolate. Doesn't mean it won't separate again later if you continue to mix it too much. But for that, it will always, immersion blender, few seconds, instantly it comes back together. And actually, I'll share that video in the show notes as well, so you can see it.
Well, that's great. That's useful information.
Yeah, really great. And then you don't have to throw it out, because unfortunately, when chocolate separates, if you don't bring it back together, you can also bring it back together with a little touch of warm cream. That also works, but the immersion blender is just so much more fun and fascinating. And that works. So thank you, Ami, as always. And thank you guys for watching on YouTube, for listening into wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you back here again really soon. Thank you. From HRN and the Bold Baking Network, you are watching the Need to Know Baking Entertainment podcast.